Now it's time to unleash, finally, because my God, if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, I really hope that you have logged completely off because there's just images everywhere, videos. It is just people are just not giving a shit today. It seems like they held back Friday, Saturday, but today, not so much. And there's one particular image where I'm just like, can I also get a hug? What's happening, film friends? Dave the Film Junkie here. All right, time for Spider-Man No Way Home spoiler discussion. That's right. Sorry I'm a little late on this. It's just, trying to just catch up on things this weekend and finally trying to get this video out there. Obviously, I was like, oh, right, crap. I needed to do that yesterday, but doesn't matter. This is just me talking about the spoilers, of course. I'm going to go over just the spoilery stuff. I'm going to have like a full-on spoiler discussion panel, hopefully, on Thursday, so look forward to that. We'll get some other people in here, and we'll have a good old time. But yes, so let's just talk about stuff. Obviously, we're not going to go through the whole entire movie, but I mean, I think basically the first bit of spoilery stuff is the fact that, hey, Matt Murdock, right? Charlie Cox shows up. It's pretty quick. It's only one scene. Obviously, when everything that happens and everybody gets interrogated and everybody's trying to figure out exactly what to do when it comes to Peter. And, of course, they're hiding out at Happy's apartment. And, Matt Murdock. I mean, it was kind of cool how they did it, too, because it just cuts to the scene and you see the cane and then everybody was like, yes. I remember just, like, freaking out about that. And he, of course, lets him know everything that's going on, and I just love the fact that Matt Murdock was willing to represent, of course, Peter Parker. We're all happy about that. And then, of course, a brick comes flying through the window. Actually, this was not when they were at Happy's apartment. That's right. They were still at Peter and Aunt May's apartment. And a brick comes in, and he just catches it, and Peter's like, Jesus Christ, how'd you do that? So that's just kind of cool. Like, they're like, yep. Even though we're not going to see him as Daredevil, he's going to do a Daredevil move. Then we have the return of the villains, of course. And, there's not really much spoilery stuff when it comes to this because we all know which villains return and we know that they get captive, at the Sanctum Sanctorum, like when, I forgot what the place was called, where they were keeping everybody behind something, which, yeah, like I said, it got a little campy with that certain stuff. I mean, but, it was kind of cool when they were all in there and they're all talking. And then, of course, we got that line. I'm something of a scientist myself that Defoe said. I mean, I thought that was a little too, like, on the nose, like, okay. I mean, obviously, it's a good line, callback from Spider-Man 1, but I was just like, yeah, okay. It was just like one of those, all right, it was just like, you're just waiting to see that, but it's fine. It's totally fine. You could get, I know, like, the callbacks, sometimes it's just like they were trying to cram a little too much in here, but, it's whatever. The fact that Willem Dafoe was back, and I love the fact that when his character comes back, and he, they bring back the whole, he's looking at the mask and it's talking to him and he's trying to fight it and everything. And then he ends up breaking the mask, which was cool. I thought that was great. And then Aunt May ends up finding him and then he's like explaining it and explaining everything. And of course, that's just the goblin psycho side that is trying to fool everybody. That was a big reveal too, because I mean, it was kind of cool. I mean, obviously, when it comes to this movie, you have Doctor Strange that's like, no, we got to send these motherfuckers back. I don't care that they're going to end up dying. But of course, Peter, with the good heart, he's like, nope. Let's try to cure them. They all have something that happened, like an experiment that went wrong, and that's why they're like this. So if we cure them, they can go back and live a great life and all this stuff. And you kind of go back to that because, I mean, obviously what happens further into the movie, you go, man, was that a good decision? Was that not a good decision? I don't know. But I mean, Peter's heart was in the right place. It was a great fight between Doctor Strange and him. And I thought, yeah, that was pretty cool how they did that. And then obviously they were going to cure everybody. But Electro didn't want it. I mean, obviously when it comes to Electro, why would he want to go back to what he was once before? Because obviously now he looks like Jamie Foxx. Doesn't have like the comb over weird thing and all that, which I didn't really like when it came to Amazing Spider-Man 2. But, it just was, why would he want to go back to that? And then, of course, all of them were just like, nah, we don't trust this. The only person that was all good with it was, of course, Doc Ock. And they, of course, Peter fixed the chip on the back of his neck. So then he was back to just not hearing the voices and everything, which, of course, plays out later. But Electro was just not having it. Lizard was not having it. And then, of course, obviously, Osborn was not having it either. So it was pretty cool, like, because you thought, like, okay, how is this going to go awry? How did he get the reactor? And, of course, it wasn't just because he was an ex-employee of Tony Stark, so he had a reactor. Electro just had a reactor. No. He got it because It was in a box that was in Happy's apartment. So, makes sense. But it was interesting because it's like, all right, obviously we know how they died. And they kind of explain like, oh yeah, I was doing this. And it was pretty much the end of their stories when all of a sudden they just get zapped into this universe. So then when Andrew and Toby show up. Obviously they have aged, so this is like they've furthered their stories. It's all been interesting, like how that was all playing out in like explaining everything. But man, I was wondering, I was like, okay, how is Toby and Andrew gonna show up? How are they gonna show up? Is they just gonna like save Peter's ass, or what's gonna happen? Who knows? It was like one of those things. But of course, before they showed up, Aunt May, with great power comes great responsibility. She said the line, and then she ends up getting killed. The glider. The fucking glider, man. Obviously he like came in there, and then she ended up getting stabbed by, man. It's just, that actually got spoiled. So sadly, somebody said that in one of the Film Junkie lives. I apologize for that. There's nothing really we could do about that. But yeah, that was just a brutal scene, and and then what was even more brutal, and I was like, fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah. The Peter and Goblin scene, dude, that was insane. That's where I'm saying, like, Jesus Christ, yes, Tom Holland. It is a wrestling match. It is. I saw some clips online again too, and I'm just like, holy shit, more of that. But then that leads, of course, to Andrew and Toby talking about dealing with stuff like that, because that which plays later on. But yeah. But when they show up, because obviously MJ and Ned are held up and trying to like wonder where Peter is, or at Ned's house, and then Ned has Doc Strange ring, and so he was able to open up a portal trying to find Peter. And it was like, when you saw the alleyway and you saw that there was a Spider-Man, it was like, it's Andrew. And then of course when he came in, and then man, this is what's so great about going opening night, because obviously we know it's him, but then when he takes off the mask, everybody just fucking cheered, man, and it was great. And it was a great scene, because MJ being MJ, not trusting anybody, and it was pretty funny. Like I said, MJ didn't bother me as much as he did in the previous ones. And then I love the fact that he was just like hanging on the ceiling. It's like, this is not enough for you? And then Ned's mom's like, can you get a cobweb over there? So Andrew Garfield in this movie, when he was in the scene, he just stole the scene. He just did. Okay, that's why he's my favorite. There's just something about him, and everybody is all asking for Amazing Spider-Man 3. I'm right there with you. I will campaign for that as well. Hopefully we can get something like that. I'm going to make a separate video when it comes to all that, but I love all the Andrew Garfield love we're seeing on the timeline and everywhere, because he just steals the scene and everything. And then, of course, it was like, all right, where's Toby? Where's Toby? And they open it up, and I just love the fact that Toby wasn't all decked out like in his Spider-Man costume. It was just normal clothes, and he's just like, what the hell? And it's just a great scene, because you got Andrew and Toby, man, just like talking with each other, and they're trying to figure all this out, and it was great. And then obviously when we cut to Peter, great shot of him looking at the screen, watching J. Jonah Jameson talk about what happened earlier, and it's raining, and he's just fucking sad. It's all really bad. That was a great shot. And then, of course, when they find where Peter is on top of, I forgot which building, but yeah, they find him. And then, of course, we have Andrew and Toby like show up too, man. And then they Ned and MJ like console him and everything. It was just like, oh man, it was just crazy. It's just a lot of emotions. And then, of course, they talk about Uncle Ben. Finally, a little more Uncle Ben talk. There has been lack of Uncle Ben, of course, when it comes to the MCU Spider-Man. But man, I tell you what, when they talk about their Uncle Ben's getting killed, and then, of course, talking about the great power comes great responsibility kind of thing, man, it's just, yes. Back to the lab. Obviously, it's just great. It's just great just seeing all the Peters working together, trying to make the cures and stuff. Just a great scene. And then, of course, they did the meme. We were wondering, when are they going to do the meme? They have to do the meme where, like, the Spider-Men are pointing at each other. I love the fact that they didn't just reenact the meme, because that's what I thought they were going to do. They're going to go, like, hard on reenacting the meme, like all of them in their costumes, pointing at each other in, like, the exact same way. No, instead, they don't have their masks on, and they're all just kind of going, like, which Peter, that Peter, and they start doing that whole thing. It was great. I was like, okay, that's a perfect way to do the meme. Thank you. Oh, man, when Toby and Andrew Andrew are talking. When they're talking and they're talking about, relationships, Toby talks about him and his MJ. They're making it work. You're just kind of going, if only we could have gotten some Kirsten Dunst. But, and then, of course, he talks about Gwen. Andrew's Peter, of course, talks about the fact that he was he got really angry, of course, after Gwen died. And we of course, we all knew that it was going to come into play later. But it's just kind of interesting because I kind of wanted to hear Andrew's Peter say yeah, but then I met my MJ. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, if they do further movies, maybe we can actually see that now. The final battle. Oh my God, I can't wait to see gifts for this. Oh man, that's going to be great. Of course, there's a lot of callbacks. We got, obviously they were talking about the webbing that he could produce his own web. There's some jokes with that, which was funny, obviously, because it's weird. Like they were asking him how do you produce all that? And then there's a whole thing of who are you going to call Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3? Andrew again, just being just a lovable, charismatic dude, just carrying those scenes more. It's just, that's what was so great about it. And then, of course, with Toby and my back, and he was trying to stretch out his back. And then just to see a scene where Andrew Garfield is picking up Tobey Maguire. They're both in their Spidey costumes and he's cracking his back. It's just, they did some really good callbacks, man. I tell you what. But when you see them all doing their Spidey thing and you're seeing them all oh man. And of course that shot with the villains and everything, such a beautiful shot. Oh my God, it's just so great. And then just to see all the callbacks and whatnot. And then there's an exchange at the end when Electro gets all his energy taken from him, and then Andrew and him have this conversation when, that just kind of just a throwback to when they first met. And then, of course, when Octavius, which I like this because I thought, oh, Doc Ock, he's bad again. Guess what? They're going to have to fight him. But no, he fooled the villains and then started taking them out and everything, which I thought, badass. That's great. Everybody cheered when that happened. And then when he saw Tobey Maguire's Peter, he saw still trying to do better. Good callback. Then, of course, Tom Holland's Spider-Man just wants to kill Goblin. And this is, it gets intense because, and again, praise for Holland and how he was challenged to do all this when it came to his Spider-Man finally. And man, when he was about to just totally just he was just going to ram the freaking glider right into Goblin's head, and Toby just stops him. And he was just, because they told him, don't do this. Don't do this. It was a learning. It was just great just to have the veteran Spider-Man to stop him. But then all of a sudden, Goblin stabs him in the back. Dude, the whole theater, including me, was like, no. I mean, just, no. Man, when that happened, I mean, just talk about heart attacks everywhere. And then, of course, they resolve all that. He gets secure, and Osborn is cured and everything. And I just love the fact that it was we all freaked out about that. And then when, Andrew comes up to Toby, he's all, hey, I'm okay. I've been stabbed before. It's okay. He's going to be okay, I think, guys. I think he's going to be, thank God. And then it just gets to the point where you're lump in the throat almost the entire time because Tom Holland's Peter, of course, is just going to Doctor Strange. Obviously he's trying to hold back. And I shit you not, I think other people too, I saw Kraven the Hunter and I saw Rhino in the actual suit. I saw the silhouettes. It was pretty noticeable. I'm not sure who else is in there. I'm sure there's going to be more screenshots when people talk about seeing those guys, but I'm pretty fucking sure I saw Kraven and I saw the Rhino. So yeah, and other people said they saw them too, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, of course, he just says for everybody to forget him, including Doctor Strange, everybody, and he's just I got to do this because it's just the way that it's going to have to be, or else the whole world's going to be fucked up. So he first says goodbye to the two other, Toby and Andrew, which I love that. I love the fact that Toby is leaned up because obviously, he just got stabbed in the back, and oh man, I just love that. And then I love the fact that, Tom Holland was, he wanted to say goodbye. He was saying goodbye, and I'm like, everybody's going, you guys got to hug. You better fucking hug these guys, because he was a little anxious to get to MJ and Ned, but then all of a sudden he just rushes in and they have that hug, and that's the screenshot. I've been seeing that image floating around, and every time I see it, I just go, can I have a hug? Man, when he says goodbye to Ned and MJ, holy shit. It's really, it gets you. It gets you. It really does. This is the first time you actually feel oh, okay, these two, yeah, they love each other. Holy shit. And it's just, man, I tell you, you just get hit in the feels. You just really get hit in the feels with that. And they end up doing that. And it's interesting, though, because the question I have when it comes to everyone forgetting Spider-Man, I mean, obviously, I guess the spell just wipes out all the videos and news, magazine, whatever, all the magazine covers and everything like that. I guess, that's what that whole thing does. Naturally, of course. But when he goes to Aunt May's, in the cemetery, when he goes to her tombstone, and then Happy shows up, and obviously Happy doesn't know who he is, and then he, how'd you know her? Like through Spider-Man, and then he goes, yeah, me too, and I'm just kind of going, okay, so how does that work now? How does it work that people have worked with Spider-Man? Did they just never know his secret identity? I mean, I'm trying to figure out exactly how it all works. When it comes to, because obviously Happy has worked with Spider-Man. He knew who Aunt May was, but doesn't know who Peter is. I'm trying to figure out exactly how that all works. It's just, that's the problem I have. And then of course we had the scene at the end where he shows up at where MJ works and was going to try to say some stuff, but then he realized, I mean, I love the symbolic of the Band-Aid over her eyebrow. Like she pushes her hair back. There's, of course, the Band-Aid. And he's all, you all right? And then she goes, yeah, it doesn't hurt anymore. And you just kind of go, oh, I see what you did there. That's good. I get it. And then Peter, he just goes, you know what? I can't right now. Obviously, I just got to establish myself first and just do whatever. And of course he rents a room, some shitty little apartment, and then he makes a new costume. And holy shit, I can't wait to get an actual image of what this full-on costume looks like, because it is now looking more like Toby and Andrew's, more probably Andrew's Spider-Man costume. That it's not all techie looking, it's not all full with the, it's almost like Sony was going, all right, we established this big, huge origin story with Iron Man and all his technology. Now we're back to right here. We're good now? Are we done with the MCU stuff? It almost seems like that. I mean, because that little last Spidey swinging sequence with the new costume looked fucking awesome. Looked really, can't wait to see more of that and gifs of that all over the place. But I'm just glad. I'm like, yeah, there, okay, go off. Fly, tiny birdie. Yes, it's time for you to fly. So I love that. I love that he got the new costume and everything. And he said, like I said, it's just been one big, long origin story. And now we're going to go off and see what happens. And what might happen next, I don't know. Because we had that mid-credit scene with, of course, Eddie Brock, Tom Hardy showing up. And he's just at that bar going like, so wait, what happened? There was, he started asking about Thanos and weird shit like that. And but then, of course, he gets zapped back to his universe. But a part of the symbiote stays behind. So that's going to be interesting to see, because you kind of go like, all right, well, is Tom Hardy going to be Tom Holland's Eddie Brock, or is there going to be a different Eddie Brock? I don't know. There's a lot of questions when it comes to that, because a lot of people want Tom Hardy and Andrew Garfield to like duke it out, which I'm all for too, but I'm like, how do you miss an opportunity to have the two Toms though? I just don't know how they're going to do it. Post-credit was, of course, the teaser for Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness, which looks good. Nothing that was like so revealing. Obviously, you saw Wanda, and he's still trying to put stuff. And then, of course, you got the what is it? The Supreme. I forgot what they called him. Obviously, he was in What If. That version of Doctor Strange. I'm like totally just drawing a blank, but you guys know what I'm saying. But it looks exciting. Can't wait to see where they take that and what people are going to be showing up in there. I'm willing to bet that there's going to be Fantastic Four and some X-Men people are going to be showing up in that for sure. But yep, there you go, guys. That's the spoiler discussion I have for you with Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm telling you what, I can't wait to see it again and seeing some of the stuff. I'm telling you, the second half of the movie is so fucking strong. It's so strong. A little rough first half, maybe a little less than half. But man, I tell you what, when things start, when you get into like the real multiverse part of the story and the villains start coming back, and we start establishing all that, and that pretty much from the Doctor Strange and Spider-Man fight is where I was just like, all right, this is just, everything after this is great. It's just great. So there you go, guys. There's my spoiler discussion of Spider-Man No Way Home. Let me know your thoughts about it down below. What did you think? Hit that like, thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that join button if you want to become a member. We got the notification bell too. We got the Patreon right there if you want to take a part of that, help out that pirate ship. And then, of course, we got the Film Junkie Closet with shirts like this one down below. Yes, I wore a Flashpoint shirt. By the way, Flash Thompson, he wrote a book called Flashpoint. He wrote it real quick too, by the way. I hate that character so much in this. I really do. I just hate the Flash Thompson character. They gave him like a new hairstyle. I just hate it. I hate it. Bring back Joe Mang. Huh? Let's bring back that Flash Thompson. Anyways, guys, all right. Talk to you later.